The day I signed away my inheritance was the same day I decided to destroy my father, not with violence or scandal, but with the very weapons he'd taught me to wield: patience, precision, and the law. My name is Olive, and I'm a civil rights attorney, though my father never fails to remind me I could have aimed higher. The Bennett and Associates building loomed over me as I walked through its glass doors, my heels clicking against marble floors that had witnessed 2 decades of my father's ruthless dealings. "He's waiting for you," his secretary Monica whispered, sympathy clouding her eyes. She'd watched me grow up in these halls, had seen the gradual shift from daddy's little girl to whatever I was now. I straightened my blazer and entered his office. The place still smelled of leather and expensive cigars, just like it did when I was 12 and would sneak in to read law books while he was in meetings. "Olive." He didn't look up from his computer. "The papers are on the desk. Sign them." "Hello to you too, Dad." I picked up the stack of documents, each page a carefully crafted betrayal. You know, most fathers would at least pretend to feel guilty about strong-arming their daughter out of her inheritance. He finally looked at me, his steel gray eyes unchanged by the decades. "Your brother needs this more than you do. You have your career. Desmond, he needs structure, guidance. You mean control." I flipped through the pages, already knowing every word by heart. I'd spent 3 nights analyzing them with Alina, my colleague and closest friend. "He's 32, Dad. When are you going to stop treating him like he's 16? When he stops acting like it." He stood up, walking to his wall of windows. "Poetry doesn't pay bills, Olive. Someone needs to protect his future." I bit back a laugh. If he only knew how many of Desmond's poems had been published under a pen name, how his wayward son had built a quiet but respectable literary reputation while pretending to be the family disappointment. "Sign the papers, Olive. Don't make this difficult." "Like you made it difficult when I got into law school?" The words slipped out before I could stop them. "When you told me civil rights law was beneath our family's standing?" He turned, his face hardening. "You're still bitter about that? I pushed you because I saw your potential. You could be running this firm by now. Instead, I'm just helping people who actually need it. What a waste." I grabbed the Mont Blanc pen, a graduation gift from him, and signed each page with deliberate strokes. Each signature felt like laying another brick in the foundation of what was to come. There, I slid the papers across his desk. "Happy now?" He picked them up, checking each signature. "It's for the best, Olive. You'll see that someday." "Oh, I'm sure I will." I stood up, smoothing my skirt. "By the way, how's the mayoral campaign planning going?" He paused, just for a fraction of a second. Most people wouldn't have noticed, but I'd spent my life studying his tells. "Who told you about that?" "I have my sources." I headed for the door, then turned back. "You know what's funny, Dad? You always said my biggest weakness was that I care too much about justice, but maybe that's not a weakness at all. Is that a threat?" His voice was quiet, dangerous. I smiled, the same smile he'd taught me to use in negotiations. "Of course not. Just an observation from your disappointment of a daughter." I opened the door. "Good luck with the campaign, Dad. I'm sure all sorts of interesting things will come to light during the vetting process." "Olive?" His voice stopped me. "Don't do anything foolish." "I learned from the best, Dad. Everything I do is carefully calculated." I closed the door behind me, nodding to Monica as I passed. My phone buzzed as I reached the elevator. A text from Desmond. "Did you do it?" "Yes," I typed back. "Phase 1 complete. You still in?" His response came quickly. "All the way, sis. He'll never see us coming." I smiled as I stepped into the elevator, remembering the night 2 months ago when I'd found Desmond in his apartment, surrounded by papers and empty whiskey glasses. He'd shown me everything: The offshore accounts, the falsified documents, the trail of corruption our father had built his empire on. We'd stayed up until dawn, plotting and planning, two siblings finally united in purpose. The elevator doors opened to the lobby, and I walked out into the sunshine. My father thought he'd won today, thought he'd put his rebellious daughter in her place while securing his golden boy's future. He had no idea that his carefully constructed world was about to unravel thread by thread, law by law. I pulled out my phone again, dialing Alina's number. "Hey," I said when she answered. "It's done. Time to move to phase 2. "You sure about this?" she asked. I looked back at the building bearing my family's name. More sure than I've ever been about anything. The game was on, and I intended to win. Desmond's apartment always smelled like coffee and old books. I found him on his balcony that evening, cigarette in one hand, notebook in the other. The city lights sparkled below us like fallen stars. "You're smoking again," I said, sliding the glass door closed behind me. "And you're judging again?" He stubbed out the cigarette anyway, giving me a crooked smile. "How'd the old man take it?" "Like a king accepting tribute." I sat in the weathered chair beside him. He didn't suspect a thing. Desmond laughed, but there was no humor in it. "Of course not. In his mind, you're still that little girl desperate for his approval, and I'm still the family screw-up." "Speaking of screw-ups," I nodded toward his notebook. "How's the new collection coming along?" He hesitated, then handed me the leather-bound book. "See for yourself. Page 43. I flipped through pages filled with his precise handwriting until I found what he wanted me to see. The poem was titled Empire of Glass. "Read it out loud," he said quietly. I cleared my throat. "In Father's tower of mirrors and lies, where truth distorts like morning fog, I watched him build his kingdom high, on foundations made of fool's gold and borrowed time." My hands started shaking as I continued. "In hidden vaults and secret files, the evidence of empire's fall awaits its day of reckoning, when justice claims her due from all." Jesus, Des. I looked up at him. "You can't keep this here. If he ever found it—" "He won't." Desmond took the notebook back. "Besides, it's just poetry, right? That's what he always says. My useless hobby." A door slammed somewhere in the building, making us both jump. We'd grown up flinching at sudden noises, at footsteps in hallways. "Show me everything," I said, "all the documents you mentioned." He led me inside to his study, pulling a false bottom from his desk drawer. Took these from his office over the last year. Whenever he'd call me in for one of his career guidance sessions, I'd wait until he stepped out and photograph whatever I could find. The stack of papers he handed me was devastating. Fake invoices, doctored financial statements, evidence of bribes paid to city officials. My father's fingerprints were all over them, metaphorically, if not literally. This is why he's pushing for the inheritance transfer, I realized. He needs clean money for his campaign, money that can't be traced back to all this. Bingo. Desmond poured us both a whiskey. The prodigal son and the dutiful daughter, publicly supporting their father's bid for mayor with their legitimate inheritance. It's a perfect story. Too perfect. I took a sip, letting the alcohol burn away my hesitation. "We need more. These documents are a start, but we need someone on the inside." Desmond's eyes lit up. "What about Maria? She's been on the board forever, and she was Mom's best friend before." He didn't finish the sentence. He didn't need to. We both remembered the car accident that took our mother 12 years ago, and the way our father had seemed more inconvenienced than grieving. "Maria might help," I said slowly. "She never remarried after her husband died. Dad helped her keep her board seat when others wanted her out. She owes him." Exactly why she might want to settle that debt. Desmond grabbed his phone. "She always liked me. Let me set up a lunch with her. I watched him text, noting how his hands shook slightly. You okay with all this? It's not too late to back out. He looked up, and for a moment I saw the little boy who used to crawl into my bed during thunderstorms. Remember what Mom used to say? The truth always rises like cream to the top. Yeah, I whispered. I remember. Well, I'm tired of watching Dad skim off that cream and leave nothing but sour milk behind. He showed me Maria's response. Lunch tomorrow, 1 p.m. usual place. We're doing this, Olive. For Mom. For us. My phone buzzed. A text from Alina. Meeting set with Wyatt for tomorrow morning. He's interested. Wyatt's in, I told Desmond. If we can get Maria too, we will. He walked me to the door. Hey, Olive. Thanks for not giving up on me, even when I was trying my best to be exactly what Dad said I was. I hugged him, breathing in the familiar scent of coffee and tobacco. You're my little brother. That doesn't change, no matter what. As I drove home that night, I thought about Desmond's poem. Our father had built his empire on glass and lies, thinking himself untouchable in his tower of mirrors. But he'd forgotten one crucial thing. Mirrors can be shattered, and when they break, they cut deep. I pulled into my driveway just as another text came through from Desmond. Found more files, big ones. Come by tomorrow after Maria? Will do, I replied. Sweet dreams, poet. His final message made me smile. Justice never sleeps, sis. Neither do we. The press conference room at Bennett and Associates buzzed with anticipation. I stood at the back, watching my father work the crowd like a master conductor. Every smile, every handshake was perfectly choreographed. My fellow citizens, he began, his voice carrying that practiced warmth he'd perfected over decades. Today, I'm announcing my candidacy for mayor of our great city. Cameras flashed. Reporters leaned forward. I caught Desmond's eye across the room. He was playing his part perfectly, the prodigal son in an expertly tailored suit. With the full support of my family, my father continued, gesturing to us, I pledge to bring integrity, transparency, and progress to City Hall. I felt bile rise in my throat but maintained my camera-ready smile. Beside me, Alina squeezed my arm gently, a reminder to stay calm. Mr. Bennett, a reporter stood up. Your children's inheritance was recently restructured. Any connection to campaign financing? My father's smile didn't waver. My family's private financial decisions are exactly that, private, but I can assure you that everything has been handled with complete transparency and legality. I watched Maria shift uncomfortably in her seat. She'd agreed to meet Desmond for lunch, but seeing her reaction now, I wondered if we might have more leverage than we thought. The questions continued for another 20 minutes. I counted 3 times my father lied outright, and 6 times he dodged with carefully worded non-answers. When it was over, he beckoned Desmond and me to his office. Well done, both of you, he said, pouring himself a scotch. Desmond, that suit was the right choice. Olive, try to smile more next time. You looked severe. Wouldn't want to tarnish your image of perfection, I muttered. He set his glass down hard. Don't start. This campaign is crucial for all of us. The connections we'll make, the opportunities, the bribes we'll take. The words slipped out before I could stop them. His face darkened. Careful, Olive. Very careful. Desmond stepped between us. She's just tired, Dad. We all are. Maybe we should call it a day? Fine. Our father waved us away. But remember, from now on, everything you do reflects on this campaign. Everything. In the elevator, Desmond let out a shaky breath. That was close. Too close, I agreed. Did you see Maria? Yeah, she's nervous. Meeting her in an hour. I checked my phone. 3 missed calls from Wyatt. Keep me posted. I need to see Wyatt. I found him in his office across town, surrounded by financial reports. My old mentor looked up as I entered, his face grave. "Close the door," he said. I did. "What did you find?" "It's worse than we thought." He spread out several documents. "Your father's been running a sophisticated scheme through the firm. Client money disappearing into shell companies, reappearing as clean political donations. Can we prove it?" "With Maria's help, yes. She's been signing off on these transactions for years, probably without realizing their full scope." My phone buzzed. A text from Desmond. "Maria talking. It's big. Get here now." "I have to go," I told Wyatt, "but send me everything you found." I met Desmond and Maria at a small cafe far from our usual haunts. Maria looked like she'd aged 10 years since the press conference. "Tell her," Desmond urged gently. Maria's hands shook as she lifted her coffee cup. "Your mother, the accident, it wasn't random." The world stopped spinning for a moment. "What?" "She'd found something," Maria continued. "Documents like the ones you have now. She was going to expose everything. Then the brake lines in her car." "No," I whispered. "He wouldn't. He didn't do it himself," Maria said quickly. "But he knew. He knew, and he let it happen. I've carried that knowledge for 12 years." Desmond grabbed my hand under the table. I could feel him trembling. "I'll help you," Maria said. "Whatever you need, it's time the truth came out." Back in my car, Desmond and I sat in silence for a long moment. "We can't let this go," he finally said. "No," I agreed, "but we have to be smart. He's already killed once to protect his secrets." "So, what's the play?" I started the car. "We gather everything, the financial records, Maria's testimony, Wyatt's evidence. Then we take it all to the ethics committee, the DA's office, and the press, simultaneously." "He'll see it coming." "No," I said, pulling into traffic. "He'll see what he expects to see. His ambitious daughter and poetic son playing their assigned roles. He thinks he wrote this story. He doesn't realize we're writing our own ending." My phone rang. Our father's number. "Don't answer it," Desmond said. I hit ignore, watching the notification fade away. "Time to go see Alina. We need to make sure every legal angle is covered." "Olive?" Desmond's voice was small. "Mom would be proud of us, right?" I thought of our mother's favorite saying about truth rising like cream. "Yeah, Des, she would be." The truth about our mother's death had changed everything. This wasn't just about inheritance anymore. This was about justice, long delayed but finally within reach. "You're telling me your father had your mother killed?" Alina paced her office, heels clicking against hardwood floors. "This changes everything, Olive." "I know." I spread Maria's documents across Alina's desk. "But it also gives us leverage we never expected." Wyatt leaned forward in his chair, examining a particularly damning financial statement. "We need to move carefully. One wrong step, and this could all backfire spectacularly." "Or we could end up like Mom," Desmond added from his spot by the window. Alina stopped pacing. "He's right. This isn't just about exposing corruption anymore. We're dealing with someone who's willing to commit murder to protect his secrets." My phone buzzed. Another call from our father. Fifth one today. I silenced it. "He's getting nervous," Wyatt observed. "The campaign's making him vulnerable. He knows it." "Good." I pulled out my laptop. "Maria's given us access to the board's private servers. Look at this." I pulled up a series of transactions, each more suspicious than the last. Money flowing through dozens of shell companies, always ending up in political action committees supporting my father's various initiatives. "Jesus," Alina whispered, leaning over my shoulder. "How long has this been going on?" "At least 15 years, Wyatt said. "Around the time your mother died." Desmond's phone chimed. Maria just sent more. Dad's calling an emergency board meeting tomorrow morning. He suspects something, I said. We need to move faster. No. Wyatt's voice was firm. That's exactly what we can't do. Rush this and we'll miss something crucial. He's survived this long because he's careful. A knock at the door made us all jump. Alina's assistant poked her head in. Sorry to interrupt, but there's someone here insisting on seeing Olive. Says she's from the board. My heart stopped. What's her name? Jessica? No. Janet? Julia? Desmond asked sharply. Yes, that's it. I exchanged looks with Desmond. Julia had been our mother's secretary before the accident. She'd quit immediately after, disappeared completely. Send her in, I said. Julia looked older, grayer, but her eyes were still sharp as she entered. I saw the press conference, she said without preamble. When I heard about the inheritance transfer, I knew. You're going after him, aren't you? Why are you here, Julia? Desmond asked. She reached into her bag, pulled out a sealed envelope. Your mother gave this to me the day before she died. Said if anything happened to her, I should keep it safe until her children were ready. My hands shook as I took the envelope. Inside was a single USB drive and a handwritten note. For Olive and Desmond, when the time comes to face the truth, love, Mom. I've been watching, Julia continued, waiting for signs that you were finally moving against him. The inheritance transfer was the first. The campaign announcement confirmed it. What's on the drive? I asked. Everything. Your mother was thorough. She documented it all. The bribes, the threats, the shell companies. She even recorded conversations. Wyatt plugged the drive into his laptop. Files upon files appeared. Audio recordings, scanned documents, photographs. 15 years of evidence, preserved by a mother who knew she might not live to use it. Holy shit, Alina breathed, scrolling through the files. This is, this is everything we need, and more. Why didn't you come forward before? Desmond demanded of Julia. Your mother's note said to wait until you were ready, until you started moving against him yourselves. She stood up. I should go. He still has people watching me. Wait, I called as she reached the door. Did you know what he was going to do to her? Julia's eyes filled with tears. No, but I suspected. We all did. That's why I kept this safe all these years. She knew the risks, but she never stopped fighting for the truth. For you. After she left, we sat in stunned silence, the weight of our mother's final gift hanging heavy in the air. We need to move some of this evidence to secure locations, Wyatt finally said. Multiple copies, different places. I'll handle that, Alina offered. I have contacts who can help. My phone buzzed again, a text this time. Olive, my office, 8 a.m. tomorrow, non-negotiable. Dad. He's making his move, Desmond said, reading over my shoulder. Good, I stood up, gathering the documents. Let him. Everything's different now. Mom made sure of that. Olive, Wyatt warned. Don't get cocky. He's still dangerous. I know. I looked at the team we'd assembled. My brother, my best friend, my mentor, and now my mother's final act of protection. But so are we. We worked late into the night, organizing evidence, planning our next moves. Mom's files filled in every gap in our case, provided context for every suspicious transaction we'd uncovered. Tomorrow, I'd face my father across his desk one more time. But now I had something he didn't expect, a mother's love, reaching across years to deliver justice. Ready for tomorrow? Desmond asked as we finally prepared to leave. I thought of Mom, of her courage, of her faith in us. More than ready. It's time to end this. 8 a.m. found me in my father's office, watching him read through campaign briefings as if I wasn't even there. The morning sun cast long shadows across his desk, highlighting the silver in his hair. You've been avoiding my calls. he said finally, not looking up. I've been busy. Too busy for family dinner tonight? Your brother's coming. Maria, too. I kept my face neutral, though my heart raced. Wouldn't miss it. He set down his papers, fixing me with that penetrating stare that used to terrify me as a child. What's going on with you and Desmond? Nothing's going on. Don't lie to me. He stood up, walking to his wall of windows. You two have been meeting secretly, having whispered conversations, drawing my board members into your little conspiracy. Paranoid much, Dad? He turned sharply. You think I don't have eyes everywhere? That I don't know about your meetings with Wyatt? With Alina? They're my friends, my colleagues. They're threats to everything we've built. He moved closer, his voice dropping. Just like your mother was. The air left my lungs. What did you just say? You heard me. His eyes were cold, calculating. Your mother never understood the necessity of certain arrangements. She let her morality blind her to the bigger picture. I see the same weakness in you. Is that what you told yourself? My voice shook with rage. When you had her killed, that she was weak? He didn't even flinch. So, Julia finally showed up with that drive. I wondered when she would. You knew? Of course I knew. I've known for years, but the evidence was circumstantial, the recordings inadmissible. Your mother was careless, like you're being careless now. My phone buzzed in my pocket, probably Desmond warning me about dinner. I ignored it. Here's what's going to happen, my father continued, sitting back at his desk. You're going to drop whatever misguided crusade you're planning. You and Desmond will publicly support my campaign. In return, I'll restore your inheritance, double it even. And if I refuse? He smiled, the same smile I'd seen in photographs with business partners who later committed suicide or disappeared. Ask your mother. You're threatening your own children? I'm protecting my legacy. He picked up a pen, started signing documents. You have until dinner tonight to decide. Bring Desmond with you. 7 p.m. sharp. I stood up, my legs surprisingly steady. You know what your problem is, Dad? You're so focused on your legacy, you forgot about Mom's. He looked up. What's that supposed to mean? Guess you'll find out at dinner. I walked to the door, then turned back. Oh, and Dad? Mom wasn't careless. She was brilliant. She just played a longer game than you expected. I made it to my car before the shaking started. Desmond answered on the first ring. He knows, I said. How much? About the drive, about Julia. He's demanding we back off or else. Shit. A pause. What about dinner tonight? We're going. But first, we need to see Alina and Wyatt, now. An hour later, we sat in Alina's office, planning our counter move. He's desperate, Wyatt said, making threats this openly. He's scared. Good, Desmond replied. Let him sweat. Alina spread out the latest documents from Maria. The DA's office is ready. One word from us and they move. Not yet, I said. First, we do dinner. Are you crazy? Desmond stood up. He basically admitted to killing Mom. He threatened us directly. Exactly. I pulled out my phone, showing them the recording app that had been running during my entire meeting with our father. And now we have him on tape. Alina's eyes widened. You recorded him? Mom's files showed he was always careful about phones and emails. But in his office, in person, that's where he feels safe. That's where he slips up. Like he just did, Wyatt said slowly, admitting he knew about the drive, implying involvement in your mother's death. It's not enough for a conviction, Alina cautioned, but combined with everything else, it's enough to scare him, I finished. At dinner tonight, we let him think he's won. Then tomorrow morning, we end this, Desmond said firmly. My phone buzzed again, a text from Maria. Your father's called an emergency board meeting for tomorrow morning. first item on the agenda, removing me from the board. Perfect timing, I said, showing them the message. He's making all the moves we expected. You really think this will work? Desmond asked. I thought of our mother, meticulously gathering evidence even as she knew what it might cost her. Mom believed in justice enough to die for it. The least we can do is live for it. 7 p.m., Alina reminded us. Be careful. Always am, I said, gathering my things. After all, I learned from the best. Dad? Desmond asked. No, I smiled. Mom. The dining room at my father's house felt like a stage set for a Greek tragedy. Crystal glasses caught the chandelier light, casting prism shadows across the white tablecloth. Maria sat to my father's right, her face a careful mask. Desmond and I took our usual places across from each other. Wine? My father lifted a bottle of expensive Bordeaux. Please, I said, watching him pour. His hands were steady. They'd always been steady, even when delivering the news of Mom's death. Now, he said, setting down the bottle, shall we discuss your decision? Actually, Desmond spoke up, I'd like to read something first. He pulled out his notebook. Our father sighed. Must we? It's short, Desmond assured him. I wrote it specially for tonight. Maria gripped her wine glass tighter as Desmond began to read. In Mother's garden, roses bloom, where secrets lie beneath the loam. Truth plants its seeds in darkness deep until the day they break for home. The silence that followed was deafening. Interesting choice of subject, our father said quietly. Your mother's garden died with her. Did it? I asked. Or did it just go dormant, waiting for the right time to bloom? His fork clinked against his plate. I've had enough of these metaphors. What's your answer? About the campaign? I took a sip of wine. We've decided to support you fully. He relaxed slightly. Good. I'm glad you've seen reason. In fact, Desmond added, we've prepared a statement for tomorrow's board meeting about family unity and all that. Excellent, our father smiled. Maria, you'll be there, of course? Wouldn't miss it, she said softly. My phone buzzed. A text from Alina. Everything's in place for tomorrow. DA's office standing by. No phones at dinner, our father chided. I put it away. Sorry, work never stops. Speaking of work, he continued, I've been thinking about your role at the firm, Olive. Perhaps it's time you took on more responsibility, left that civil rights nonsense behind. Like Mom left her principles behind? The words slipped out before I could stop them. His face hardened. Your mother made her choices. Did she? Desmond's voice was sharp. Or did you make them for her? Careful, son. Or what? I leaned forward. Her brake lines might fail, too. Maria's wine glass shattered in her hand, red liquid spreading across white linen like blood. Oh, dear, she said, standing quickly. I should clean up. Sit down, Maria. Our father's voice was steel. All of you, sit down. We sat. Now listen carefully, he continued. Tomorrow's board meeting is crucial. The campaign announcement follows immediately after. You will all play your parts perfectly. No poems, no accusations, no clever little hints about the past. Am I clear? Crystal, I said, meeting his gaze. We know exactly what's expected of us. Good. He dabbed his mouth with a napkin. Now, who's ready for dessert? Later, in the driveway, Desmond grabbed my arm. Did you see his face when I read the poem? Yeah, he knows we know. Think he suspects about tomorrow? No. I look back at the house. His ego won't let him imagine we could actually hurt him. My phone buzzed again. Wyatt this time. Media alert prepared. Waiting for your signal. Everything's ready, I told Desmond. Alina has the legal documents. Wyatt has the press release. Maria has the board presentation. And the DA has Mom's files. What if he runs? He won't. I got into my car. He thinks he's untouchable. That's always been his weakness. Olive? Desmond leaned in through the window. What if? What if we're wrong? What if he's prepared for this? I thought of the recording from this morning, safely backed up in 3 different locations. He's good at playing chess, Des, but Mom taught us to play the long game. She knew someday we'd need to. See you tomorrow, then. Front row for the fireworks? Wouldn't miss it. I started the engine. Get some sleep. Tomorrow we honor Mom's legacy. As I drove home, my phone lit up with one final text from my father. Proud of you both for making the right choice. Everything will be perfect tomorrow. I smiled, thinking of Mom's garden metaphor in Desmond's poem. Tomorrow, the seeds she'd planted 15 years ago would finally break through to the surface. Tomorrow, truth would bloom in all its terrible beauty. And our father? He'd learned that some legacies can't be buried, no matter how deep you dig the grave. I sent a group text to our coalition. Everything's set. See you all tomorrow. Remember, timing is everything. Then I turned off my phone and poured myself a whiskey. One last quiet night before the storm. Mom's favorite saying echoed in my mind. The truth always rises. Tomorrow, it would rise like a flood. The boardroom buzzed with nervous energy. My father stood at the head of the table, shuffling through his campaign notes while board members filed in. Desmond sat beside me, his leg bouncing under the table. Maria took her usual seat, pale but composed. Before we begin, my father announced, I'd like my daughter to say a few words about family unity and our campaign vision. I stood, smoothing my skirt. Actually, Dad, I think Maria has something to present first. His head snapped up. That's not on the agenda. Consider it an amendment. Maria's voice was steady as she connected her laptop to the projector. As a board member, I have the right to present evidence of financial misconduct. The room went silent. My father's smile turned dangerous. Maria, think carefully about what you're doing. I have. She clicked a button, and the first document appeared on screen. For 15 years, what followed was devastating. Transaction records, offshore accounts, recorded conversations, including his threat to me from yesterday. Board members leaned forward, faces shifting from confusion to shock to anger. This is absurd, my father sputtered. These documents are clearly fabricated. Are they? I pulled out my phone, played the recording from our dinner. His voice filled the room. Your mother made her choices. The door opened. Wyatt walked in, followed by 2 police detectives and the district attorney. Harold, the DA said, we need to talk. This is a private meeting, my father snapped. Not anymore. One of the detectives stepped forward. We have a warrant for your arrest. On what charges? Financial fraud, corruption, conspiracy to commit murder. The detective glanced at his notepad. Want me to continue? My father laughed, but I heard the edge of panic. This is ridiculous. Olive, tell them. Tell them what, Dad? That you had Mom killed because she was going to expose you? That you've been threatening your own children? You ungrateful, he lunged forward, but Desmond stepped between us. Don't, my brother said quietly. It's over. The boardroom doors burst open again. Reporters flooded in, cameras flashing. Wyatt had timed the press release perfectly. Mr. Bennett, is it true you're being investigated for your wife's death? Did you threaten your children? What about the campaign funds? My father straightened his tie, trying to regain control. No comment. My lawyer will. Actually, Alina stepped forward, legal documents in hand. The firm's board has just voted to freeze all accounts pending investigation, including your personal assets. You can't do that? We just did. Maria stood up. The vote was unanimous. The detectives moved closer. Sir, please place your hands behind your back. For a moment, I thought he might resist. Then his shoulders slumped. and I saw something I'd never seen before: defeat. As they let him out, he turned to me. I did everything for this family. No, I said. You did everything for yourself. Mom did everything for the family. Desmond pulled out his notebook one last time. Hey, Dad, one more poem before you go. Empire falls on feet of clay. Truth rises like the morning sun. Mother's garden blooms today. Justice's work is finally done. The media frenzy that followed was intense. Desmond and I watched from Alina's office as every major network covered the story. Prominent lawyer arrested, mayoral campaign in ruins, decades of corruption exposed. Mom would be proud, Desmond said softly. She knew we'd figure it out eventually. I handed him a file. Look what Julia found in Mom's old office. Inside were 2 letters, dated the week before her death, one for each of us. Desmond's hands shook as he read his. She knew, Olive. She knew what he might do, but she kept gathering evidence anyway. Because she believed we'd finish what she started. I wiped away tears. She believed in justice more than she feared him. My phone buzzed. Maria. Board voted. You're both reinstated as equal partners. When you're ready, the firm is yours to reform. What do you think? I asked Desmond. Ready to help me turn Dad's empire into something Mom would be proud of? He smiled. Think they'll let me add a poetry division? A knock at the door, Wyatt with more news. DA wants to meet. They're offering your father a deal, but they need your statements first. Tell them we'll be there. I stood up, gathering our mother's letters. But first, Desmond and I have somewhere to go. We drove to the cemetery in silence. Mom's grave was simple, elegant, everything she'd been in life. We laid fresh roses, and Desmond read his poem one more time. We did it, Mom, I whispered. Your garden's blooming again. As we walked back to the car, Desmond grabbed my hand. What now, sis? I thought of all the work ahead, reforming the firm, rebuilding our family's legacy, ensuring justice was served. Now, we make sure the truth stays in the light where it belongs. Together? Together. I squeezed his hand, just like Mom always wanted. The courthouse steps were crowded with reporters as I walked out into the autumn sunshine. Desmond waited by the car, notebook in hand as always. 25 years, he said as I approached. Think it's enough? For fraud and conspiracy? Yes. I loosened my court attire scarf. For Mom, nothing would be enough. Our father had taken the plea deal, avoiding a public trial that would have dragged our family's name through even more mud. His final words to the judge had been, predictably, about legacy and necessity. Ready to go? Desmond asked. One more stop first. We drove to Bennett and Associates, soon to be renamed Justice Partners. The building looked different now, less imposing somehow. Maria met us in the lobby. The last of the restitution payments went out this morning, she said, walking us to the elevator. Every client who was defrauded has been made whole. And the pro bono program? I asked. Fully funded. Your mother would love what you're doing with her inheritance. In my office, our father's old office, Alina and Wyatt waited with champagne. To justice, Wyatt proposed, raising his glass. To family, Desmond added. To Mom, I said softly. As we drank, I noticed Desmond fidgeting with his notebook. What is it? I found something in Dad's personal files, a letter Mom wrote to him the day before. He pulled out a folded page. Think we should read it? The room went quiet. Maria touched my arm. Whatever you decide, we're here. I took the letter, unfolded it carefully. Harold, by the time you read this, you'll have made your choice. I hope for our children's sake you choose truth over power, but I know you won't. I've watched you build this empire on lies, telling yourself it was for the family. But families aren't built on secrets and fear. They're built on love and truth. Olive and Desmond are stronger than you know, smarter than you give them credit for. One day, they'll see through the mirrors you've placed around them. When that day comes, I hope they'll remember to choose justice over vengeance. I've made my choice. Whatever happens to me, the truth will rise. With hope for your redemption, Margaret. Silence filled the office. Then Desmond laughed softly. What? I asked. She knew. She knew we'd end up right here, in this office, reading this letter. She played the longest game of all. Speaking of games, Alina interjected, the press is waiting downstairs. They want a statement about the firm's new direction. I looked around at our unlikely coalition, my poetic brother, my mother's loyal friend, my trusted mentor, my fierce ally. Let's give them something worth reporting. Downstairs, cameras flashed as Desmond and I stepped up to the microphones. He spoke first, clear and strong. Today marks a new chapter, not just for our firm, but for our family's legacy. My sister and I are announcing the creation of the Margaret Bennett Foundation for Legal Justice. I stepped forward. Using the recovered funds and our personal inheritance, we're establishing a network of legal clinics across the city. Every person deserves access to justice, regardless of their ability to pay. And poetry workshops, Desmond added with a grin, because sometimes justice needs a creative touch. The reporters laughed. Questions flew. What about your father's political connections? Will you continue his business relationships? How do you respond to criticism about family loyalty? I held up my hand. Our loyalty was always to the truth. That's our family's real legacy, not the one our father tried to build, but the one our mother died protecting. Back in the office, I found Julia waiting with a small package. Found this in your mother's old files, she said. Thought you might want it. Inside was a garden trowel, worn with use, and a packet of rose seeds. A note read, "For when it's time to plant a new garden." Desmond appeared at my shoulder. "Mom's favorite roses. Think they'll grow here?" I gestured to the office's small balcony. "Only one way to find out." Together, we stepped out into the sunlight. The city spread below us, not as a kingdom to be conquered, but as a community to be served. While Desmond prepared the soil in a large planter, I opened the seed packet. "You know," he said, "Dad always said you can't build a legacy on ideals." Dad was wrong about a lot of things. I planted the first seed. Mom knew better. "She did," Maria said from the doorway, "and so do you." I looked at the tiny seeds in my palm, so small yet containing so much potential, like truth, like justice, like love. "Ready to grow something new?" I asked Desmond. He smiled, taking a handful of seeds. Together. And there, high above the city our father had tried to own, we planted our mother's roses, seeds of truth in soil nourished by justice, waiting to bloom.